Alright, so this was in response to my video talking about how Penny Parker went from like super chippy in Into the Spider-Verse to like very much kind of depresso expresso in Across the Spider-Verse, and I compared it to Evangelion because it's basically how she kind of got from here to here. So let me just kind of like explain this. Note, I'm not going to be perfect in terms of this explanation and comparing it with Evangelion, just because I don't have a flawless like knowledge of everything Evangelion. So let's kind of jump into this now for some context, right? In Evangelion, the like mech suits and shit that they pilot are actual like biological beings that have basically just like flesh and then like metal mech that like controls them basically. Excuse me. And then they're controlled by like linking souls with whomever the pilot is basically. Now, in Evangelion, Unit 1, who's like this prototype or whatever, here he is. It kind of gets cut off by the green screen effect, but this is Unit 1, basically. Unit 1, basically, like, kind of goes off the hinge and absorbs its own, or its, like, user, Yui Iriki, and basically, like, just assimilates it into itself. And then Yui basically kind of goes about putting this thing into what's known as in the series as berserk mode, which is basically when the robot acts independently of like any pilot interaction or any power sources. It just acts basically. Now a very, very similar thing happens to Penny's friend Addie Brock, who's just getting, I mean, I don't know what else you could call this, but assimilation by the like the sim suit basically, because that's basically what her thing is. It's different from Penny Parker's because Penny's is just like a mech that is just half her, half a spider. Penny or Addie's suit is like basically just this biological fucking mech suit, more similar to Evangelion than like what Penny is rocking more or less, and assimilates both Addie and Penny into itself in very gruesome fashion, as you can kind of tell. There's also just like the casual mech, like the casual big ass kaijus that all the mechs basically fight. This is Morbius, by the way. This is the Morbius that I was talking about in the last video that they end up fighting, which is again very similar to how Evangelion works. That's basically what they're fighting. They call them angels, whatever. Different names for, like, the same kind of shit. But, so, yeah, Penny's friend gets absorbed by the mech suit, which is basically what happens in Evangelion, to Yui with Unit 1. And, yeah, that's more the parallel here with Evangelion. As well as the fact, by the way, that, like, the entire series is more or less inspired by Evangelion in terms of, like, most of its story and how it kind of plays out for more or less, especially when it comes to the concept of like young children needing to pilot these mech suits to fight like these big bad monsters, which is a plot point of Evangelion. But so, yeah, that's the connection here. That if you're curious, this is the connection as to what I was talking about earlier.